What is it about Kerouac and the beats that still fascinates us today? On the Road just gets to people in the right way. Some might say crisscrossing the country is really no big deal, but at the time it was, and it was also the manner in which they traversed the country. Fast cars that were sometimes stolen by the holy thief, Neil Cassidy, lonely hitchhiking vigils staked out by the side of the road, and crazy rides in pickup trucks with people who sometimes brought comparisons to Steinbeck. And Kerouac took it all the way. He took it seriously, whereas Cassidy was all about the kicks. Kerouac was a middle-class guy, but he threw it all out the window and hitched up with a young Mexican girl from the barrio, and this is what he wrote about it. Terry had a new idea. We should hitchhike to Sabinal, her hometown, and live in her brother's garage. Anything was all right by me. And that's the essence of Kerouac when he is on the road. Anything was all right by me. What we have is a unique happening. We have a group of highly intelligent, well-educated young people striving to get published, experimenting with drugs and documenting it all as they fly through life, roaming through Times Square looking for kicks, and of meeting in all-night diners and talking of writers and of writing. And surely the word hipster was invented for Neil Cassidy, immortalised by Kerouac as the one and only Dean Moriarty. Cassidy wasn't well educated, but he more than made up for it with street smarts that the rest of the beats, Ginsberg, Holmes and Co. greatly admired. And these guys could write. Kerouac, the master of poetic prose, who wrote that the only people he wanted to know were the people who were mad to live, mad to talk, mad to be saved, desirous of everything at the same time. John Cleland Holmes, author of Go, who documented the stay-at-home New York view of the Beat Generation, the madness of small-time hoods, and Herbert Huncke and William Burroughs with the weird junkie viewpoint, and the great poet Ginsberg, and the wonderful symbol of the City Lights bookstore in San Francisco. And we see Cassidy in the back streets of Denver searching for his father, lost and alcoholic. I don't think there has been a group of writers like them, anywhere or at any time. This was also post-war America, and perhaps you could call it a time of upheaval, and that young people were disillusioned by the conservative atmosphere of the time. But they were searching for something. The New York Times, in an obituary on Kerouac, wrote about the first release of On the Road. When it finally appeared in 1957, it immediately became a basic text for youth who found their country claustrophobic and oppressive. At the same time, it was a spontaneous and passionate celebration of the country itself, of the great bulge and bulk of my American continent. But somewhat contradicting that viewpoint is this article by author of Go, John Cleland Holmes, in the New York Times of November 16, 1952. The article is titled, "This is the Beat Generation." The wild boys of today are not lost. Their flushed, often scoffing, always intent faces elude the word, and it would sound phony to them. For this generation conspicuously lacks that eloquent air of bereavement which made so many of the exploits of the lost generation symbolic actions. Furthermore, the repeated inventory of shattered ideals and the laments about the mud in moral currents which so obsess the lost generation does not concern young people today. They take it frighteningly for granted. They were brought up in these ruins and no longer notice them. They drink to come down or get high, not to illustrate anything. Their excursions into drugs or promiscuity come out of curiosity, not disillusionment. What he's saying is, they did it for kicks.